Ron Paul. It's a name many people may not know, but he is running for president. The Republican congressman from Texas has been labeled obscure and a long shot, but he's no stranger to the campaign trail, and he's making big waves on the internet. Ron Paul is with us now from Capitol Hill. Thanks very much for joining us, Congressman.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
As I'm sure you know, the San Francisco Chronicle has created a lot of buzz reporting that on Facebook you've been more popular than John McCain. You have more friends on MySpace than Mitt Romney. You have the largest meetup groups among all Republican presidential contenders. Problem is, the vast majority of voters probably don't even know what those things even are. How would you describe the state of your campaign?
Well, we're planning to have the election on the internet and on C-SPAN, and then we're going to do quite well. No, I think we have to start somewhere. When you don't have $100 million of special interest money, you have to start where the action is, and the internet's an equalizer. It allows grassroots candidates like myself to get a foothold. And this has led to many, many interviews, and most of our supporters now are very, very encouraged the way things are going. So it's still early in the campaign. It's a little too early to count all the numbers and make all the predictions.
Well, let's look at least one set of numbers, besides the fact that you've raised some hundreds of thousands of dollars on the internet. The latest NBC News Wall Street Journal poll has you with about 2% support. You're about the same in the USA Today Gallup poll that came out. How do you compete with a Rudy Giuliani, who has so many more millions of dollars and is 27 points ahead of you?
Well, you do have to get the grassroots working for you, and the internet is helping. We're getting literally tens of thousands of volunteers and new donations every single day. So you're going to have to compete, but it will translate into money as well. We're raising more money than we had before, but only time will tell. I mean, we have to do the things that we do in the campaign, but I think it's way too early to decide that everybody's made up their mind. I mean, just think of how Thompson coming into the race and changing things here in the Republican primary. There's further dilution of all the pro-war vote. 70% of the American people now are opposed to the war. I'm the only Republican that offers them a true constitutional conservative approach to ending that war and getting out of there. So I would say that, yes, there's a bunch out there that are supporting the war, but the 10 that are supporting the war are competing against me, who's opposed to it. And the movement's in my direction, in the directions of having a more sensible foreign policy. So there's reason to be very optimistic that this message is going to get out.
Well, let me ask you this, and I mean this in the most respectful sense. Here you are, 71 years old, without high name recognition. Somebody who's been described as a pen and paper guy, but who is making the majority of his money, I presume, right now on the internet for saying things that, frankly, you've always said. Does that say something about the state of the Republican Party and the choices that are out there now?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think the Republican Party's lost its way. It became a party of big government, a party of war, a party of entitlements and deficits. So I would say that, yes, Republicans have to wake up. But what's great about what's happening on the internet is the young people are waking up. They're excited about this campaign, and therefore, if the Republican Party opens up their arms, they could invite a lot of new people, a lot of independents. I get a lot of support from Democrats. So the party has to be more open and invite others to come in. If they deal with their so-called base, the base is shrinking. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me.
You also created a little bit of a controversy after one of the debates for implying that American foreign policy has contributed to anti-Americanism in the Middle East. And in fact, you set up, some people would argue, Rudy Giuliani for the most played soundbite of that particular debate. You've opposed the war from the start. Your immigration positions are certainly not consistent always with the GOP. You're against a federal ban on same-sex marriage. Are you a Republican?
Well, I think I'm more Republican than they are, because if you look at our traditions of the old right, they were strict conservatives. They weren't for entitlements. They weren't for war. The Republican Party in the past has gotten us out of the wars. I mean, think of why Eisenhower was elected, and even Nixon, 68, was theoretically elected to end the Vietnam War. And President Bush ran in 2000 condemning the nation building and policing the world. He wanted a humble foreign policy. So I would say I have a powerful message which other Republicans have won on, and I cannot see how any Republican candidate can possibly win next year with as being proponents of war and with the intention of spreading this war into Iran, which it looks like it's going to happen if we don't have a new foreign policy.
Congressman Ron Paul, thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Democratic presidential candidate Bill Richardson on the offensive today, breaking from the pack, who have been largely criticizing George